Kelsey started us off with an opening statement. Coach.
Credit to Carolina. The four big parts of the game. The four things we focus on that determine winning and losing. One is effective field goal percentage. Second is free throw rate. Third is rebounding percentage, and last is turnover rate. And they beat us in two of those four pretty good. One is effective field goal percentage. They were much more efficient from two. They were 17 for 22 from two, and we were 12 for 26. There's a big disparity in the game. Felt like our paint poise wasn't great when we got to the paint. You know, we're not a huge, as we all know, our gifts as a team. One of the strengths is not our post up play to be able to throw the ball into the post. Javon Hadley is our best post up player. We tried to get him some screening action where he had some mismatches because it wasn't a great one-on-one matchup with him and 15 who was guarding him. They did a good job of sort of combating that and making it hard for us to get that mismatch. But when we got in the paint, we shot too many high degree of difficulty shots. We needed to play with more poise in there, utilize our shot fakes. When we did that, I felt like we scored it well. We didn't do it a lot, but when we did it, we scored it and got fouled. Second is free throw rate. You know, we weren't able to generate free throws. They were. Those two areas were big discrepancies. The other two areas are rebounding percentage and turnover rate. We were even in turnovers. Both teams were right about the same. And we were very good on the glass. We were, I won't say dominant, but we clearly won that part of the game. But it was our inefficiency from two and at the rim, and our inability to generate free throws. I felt like from the 20-minute mark to the 8-minute mark in the second half, we weren't good enough during those 12 minutes. I gotta watch tape and we'll go through, but right about that 8-minute mark, put that lineup in. Kobe was in there, RC was in there, Javon was in there, Kanai was in there, and Zoo was in there. And I thought Zoo gave us a great lift. I thought Zoo played tough, nasty. You go into tough venues like this, you got to be the aggressor. We rebounded really well, so we did play hard. But I just thought he gave us a big boost. Kobe gave us a big boost. And, I think it was 16 at one point at the 8-minute media. I think it was 10, maybe 9, something like that. And those guys really gave us a huge boost, got us going, got on a run. And I thought that last 8 minutes played like the team that has a chance to be elite. First 12 minutes of the half wasn't that. Credit Carolina.
Questions?
Yeah, I guess was going to ask about that stretch when you guys start as well as you do to the game, and then you also, finish as strong as you do. Kind of how do you explain, a change of energy there coming out of halftime? Lets them get up to such a big lead.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I don't know exactly. When things don't go your way as an individual and as a team, you have a choice of how you respond, and we need to respond better. When good things were happening for them and they were making shots and they got on a little bit of a run, you got to have that resolve to respond with toughness. And it just took us too long to do that. I think we finally flipped that switch, like I said, to the 8-minute mark. Why it was like that for that 10-minute stretch of the second half, I'm not sure, but it's something that we got to fix.
You guys only had 9 assists on the night, and normally you share the ball a lot better. What did Carolina do defensively, or was it just kind of the situations you guys were in wasn't as good?
No, you always give your opponent credit. They had a good game plan. They played really hard, but us only having 9 assists in a game like that. Kellen Ryan's volume was very, very high. They had a ton of field goal attempts. As you know, those are two of our go-to scorers. But, you know, we've been really good at getting other people involved and talked about that a lot in my post-game press conferences about, you know, when we're playing that way. It's kind of equal opportunity a little bit. Everybody's getting involved. We're harder to guard versus when we're one or two dimensional, and we were probably too much like that tonight.
It was a big night for Trimble, number 7 for them. He finished the career high 30 points. What about, you know, I guess if they're playing for him, made it so hard for you guys to keep him in front of you and, you know, just getting into the paint and, you know, setting up the offense?
Yeah, he did a great job of getting in the paint, and that was, you know, one of the biggest things in the scouting report was keeping him out of the paint. He's hard to do. It's hard because he's strong, physical, athletic. He's a downhill guy. Does a good job of getting in the paint. Generated a ton of fouls, a ton of free throws. I mean, I haven't studied the free throw or the stat sheet, but it seems like he had more free throws than we did as a team. I have no idea whether it says that, but that's what it felt like. And if that's the case, then, you know, give him credit. Kid played really well, played aggressive. He's a freight train in transition. I thought we didn't do a good enough job of stopping the ball early, corralling the ball, keeping him out of the paint, both in transition and off the dribble. And he's really, really aggressive off the pick and roll as well.
Coach, you started the game off very strong, great offensive efficiency, and great in transition. I felt like that was very much led by Ryan and Javon, and just a lot of sharing the ball and great movements. What mostly impressed you, like specifically about that run to start the game?
You know, wish we would have done it for 40 minutes. You're exactly right.
You kind of talked about, you know, making those changes to your lineup and that being a spark to get you guys back into the game. What do you after this game, you know, take away from like the game management side of things and, you know, trying to get guys in at different times and maybe like, you know, trying to find the different combinations that can.
Yeah, I mean, it just that group that went in at that 8-minute mark was just, they were nasty. You know, I just felt like it was just a different feel from that 8-minute on. Just felt different. It felt different on the sideline. We had more of a heartbeat. But there were too many stretches of the game where I felt like we weren't that way. But, you know, that group that went in at that time really turned things. And then the guys that came back in after that, you know, caught that energy and continued to continue to play really, really hard. So, you know, Zoo, for instance, who doesn't play a lot, he just went in and played with nastiness, with ferocity. He was fighting that big kid in the post, rebounding in traffic. You know, it's what you got to do when you go to a venue like this. It's got to be a street fight. You got to have a street fight mentality. And too many stretches in the game. Felt like it wasn't that way. It was from the 8-minute mark on for sure.
You speak about road excellence as you know, a tenet when you're going on the road and coming, have 2 road games left. What do you do to try, like, I know there's no magic button you can press when you get in the road, but how do you kind of make them understand the intensity level has to and the focus?
Yeah, they understand. They know it. As I sit here right now, if I'm going to try to hang my hat on a positive, it is that we were 16 down and we fought back. We fought back and made it a 1-possession game at the very, very end. So we didn't lay down. We didn't quit. The guys continued to fight. There were those stretches where we didn't play to our standard. But you know, there are no moral victories ever, ever, ever. But I am glad that we showed that grit, showed that fight, and went from 16 down in the second half and it turned into a 1-possession game. Those guys know. We got older veteran guys. They know going on the road, tough venues against really good teams. We got another one on Saturday. Clemson's as tough and physical of a team as we're going to play all year long in a really tough environment. So we got going with the right mentality.
Anything else for Coach Kelsey?
Got one, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just to end on a positive note, yeah, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from the night to take in to this last few games down the stretch and then the ACC tournament.
I mean, like I said, if I picked a positive is that we continued to fight. We got down to 16 and we cut it to a 1 possession game. So, got several days, it's Monday. We don't play till Saturday. So dive into the tape and clean up the schematic things, but it's our responses when things are going sideways, especially on the road that we got to be better than we were tonight.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I guess.
Thank you, Matt.